Chapter 2. The air in Leela's room was thick with the scent of paint and illuminated by a single lantern, which cast a warm light on her subject, a stuffed blaze hare that sat on her wooden work table. Leela, seated on a stool with her back straight and her concentration unwavering, delicately dipped her brush into a pot of acrylic auburn. On the canvas was a respectable replica of the stuffed animal that sat only a few feet away. With each stroke of the paintbrush on the canvas, the stuffed blazehare's fur seemed to ignite, flames of red and orange flickering across its form where her paintbrush touched its two-dimensional interpretation. The room buzzed with an energy only known to those who were gifted with the ability to channel magic. Just to be safe, Leela had abandoned the beautiful long shirt and pants, whose turquoise had accentuated Leela's golden blonde hair, and put on a drab eggshell shirt and coarse cotton trousers, both speckled with years of rainbow splatter. With her painting attire on, she looked more like someone from the Warrens rather than from a noble family from the historic district, though people from the Warrens rarely had time to pursue hobbies like painting. Lounging on a pile of plush bed cushions, her best friend Zara gazed at her friend's work. Zara's clothing was more pedestrian than the silks Leela had worn to school earlier that day, a simple gray tunic and trousers, the latter of which had been patched at the right knee with a brown square that matched her caramel skin. "You're getting stupid good at this," Zara marveled. "That blaze hair looks as if it might leap off the table." Leela leaned back to take in the entire work. "Thanks," she said appreciatively, before frowning a little. "I still have trouble painting light." "That's because you keep it so dark in here," Zara teased, moving a curly strand of black hair from her forehead. Leela shrugged. "I like the contrast." The artist tilted her head, inspecting her rendition of the blaze hare's long back feet. She then added some ochre to the brush and filled out the toes. As she did, the feet of the stuffed animal quivered. "I remember when that little guy's ears used to stand straight up," Zara mused. "Wasn't it a gift for your birthday?" Leela continued painting. "My sixth or seventh, I think," she muttered absent-mindedly before leaning back once again to inspect the addition. "It's definitely been loved," she smiled. "Speaking of love," Zara began with a mischievous smile, "I heard Alessio's been talking about you." Leela gasped and turned on her stool. "No, you didn't." Zara nodded. "In rune scribing class. Apparently he really likes your proxy." She gestured to the painting. "That wasn't my choice or anything," Leela countered. "It's just what naturally happened." "Still, he thinks it's impressive." "It's not like I can make stuffed animals breathe or fix a broken bone." "Yet." Leela lowered her brush and palette. "Honestly, it's kinda dumb. I can only use magic if I haul around an entire paint set? Who else has such a dumb proxy?" "Shen can only wield magic if she eats shriek peppers, and she can't eat shriek peppers without having a hiccup fit." Leela laughed. "That's true." She placed her art supplies on the work table and laid next to Zara. Leela could tell that underneath the joke something was bothering her friend. "You could still find yours," she soothed. "I would have found it by now," Zara vented, pausing before continuing. "It's okay. I mean, only what, 10% of Viridians are magic users? 8.8, according to Master Theobald. Still, some of them don't find their proxies until after secondary school." "What's the percentage on that?" Leela didn't answer. "I have my own talents," Zara continued, trying to lighten the mood again. "I can identify herbs from 10 paces away." "And devour a lacy cake in 7 seconds," Leela laughed. Just then a knock interrupted their conversation, and Leela's bedroom door opened, revealing a striking woman with Leela's brown eyes and straight posture. "Hello, my sweeties," she addressed with a smile. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Zara should probably head home. The mists have been getting worse, and I don't want her parents to worry." Zara groaned as she rolled off the bed. It's not the miss I have to worry about. It's the pickpockets and drunks of the Warrens. Leela resituated herself with the extra space on the bed. I wish you could move up here. You'd even be closer to the school. And me. My family would need to sell a lot more than salves and poultices to afford that. See you tomorrow, Zara said, before working her way through the beautiful Fairchild residence and exiting into the historic district of Illyrian. Even though Illyrian's inner city roads were made of interlocking bricks that created zigzag lines in every direction, they were surprisingly flat and smooth. Zara imagined that every time a brick peeked up above the crowd that a guard stomped it back in place. The roads were cleaner this close to the city's center, too. On most of the main ones, narrow green spaces lined each curb, broken intermittently by walkways allowing entrance into homes and businesses. 2 and 3 story buildings with timber frames crisscrossing painted white stone and plaster fills. From eaves hung various plants, mostly decorative instead of utilitarian, and many displaying red petals and gold pistils, complementing the city's own colors that waved on long cloth banners protruding from the heights of the sharply peaked roofs. Tangerine beams of light buttressed the sky between buildings, splashing over the increasing number of merchants tearing down their stalls for the night as Zara reached the end of the historic district. At its edge, the merchants wore less jewelry, and their clothing were made of cheaper and more available fabrics, often in earth tones of brown and gray. Either that, or earth was actually on them from an abundance of toil and lack of rags. Luckily, Zara lived in the inner Warrens and not the outer, a place inhabited by the unscrupulous people Zara had mentioned to Leela, and a place where even her parents would fear to visit at night. At least Zara's neighborhood had gravel roads instead of dirt, which became nearly unusable during rain. Still, Zara wished for more. Taking over her parents' business was not an option. It would leave her stuck in the Warrens. She knew she could never reach the generational wealth that Leela enjoyed, but there had to be something more to life than just selling roots. A half hour after leaving her friend's house, Zara approached a building that welcomed pedestrians with a creaking and weathered wooden sign reading Nadina Apothecary in a graceful hand painted script. Underneath, a lanky, knobbly man strapped into an apron was carrying in plants that, during operating hours, sat in a box under each stained glass window framing the door. Hi, Dad, Zara greeted as she closed in. The man looked over his shoulder, revealing a thick blond mustache sprinkled with white hairs and wire spectacles that hung a little from his ski slope nose, the only facial feature they shared. Everything else, including her black hair and bronze skin, came from her mother. Hi, honey, he greeted. Would you mind grabbing the pots from the other window? Everybody was closing shop at the setting of the sun. Zara did as instructed and helped bring in the wares. Upon entering the store, Zara immediately smelled the mix of herbs, roots, soaps, and salves that assaulted new patrons when they crossed the threshold into the shop. It was a good thing, though. It covered up the stink of desiccated frogs, wart root, and crow's feet further back in the store. To Zara, it all just smelled like home. Like always, supper took place in the back room, which acted as both storeroom and prep station, where the hearth that heated both the air and the food was nestled into the back corner, just past the crates of stingroot, eel leather, and dandy petals. The same table that Zara's mother used to peel roots and crush ingredients for poultices acted as their dinner table, and the 3 Nadinas contentedly slurped their broth over it. Honey, Zara's mother pled after dabbing her mouth, I wish you would come home earlier. I worry about you. Zara did not wait to finish her mouthful before replying. I always make it back before sunset. Plus, there are plenty of city guards around. I'm fine. Her father's lenses were fogged from the broth's steam. Commander Sharp's guards do a wonderful job keeping the city safe from invaders and shades. They don't need to bother themselves with a young girl who refuses to mind her mother. Sorry, Zara professed, admonished. Her parents worked hard and did a lot for her, and it wasn't their fault that they were just scraping by. She looked at her mother, seeing her own dark features accentuated with her same deep blue eyes. I'll leave Leela's a little earlier from now on. Thank you, Pickle, her mother replied with a disarming smile. She caressed Zara's arm and continued her broth. Is it okay if she comes over tomorrow after school? We need to study for a chronolore test. Sure, her father replied, soup dripping from the mustache above his smile. I'll put her to work unloading a cart. We're still expecting a shipment of blaze hair feet, which hopefully will come tomorrow. Zara ignored the joke. He would never put Leela to work, though she would probably offer anyway. Doesn't that usually come on Wednesdays? It's running late, he confirmed. Not sure what happened.